And what is up, guys? Technical stinkers here today, checking in on our little 3D print operation. If you're new to the channel, I'm just kind of starting up 3D printing, learning a lot about it, seeing if I can sell something, because I can't have hobbies unless there's a profit potential. So I got a bunch of 3D printers and I'm trying all the different things, learning a lot about this space. This is just exhibition. So if you want to join me, follow along in the process. I'm doing some giveaways too. It's a lot of fun. Join in, help me out, and have a good time along the way. Currently doing a 2,000 subscriber giveaway, link in the description below. That ends on Sunday. So what am I working on today? Well, I'm actually running a little light today because, again, let's back up a second. Let's Tarantino this a little bit. Let's go back a couple hours to what happened previously. All right, so it's rather early before I usually shoot the first part of the video, but the Moai did fail. Let's see, it's very early. So what happened was, again with layer adhesion, so dialing the temperature down, but I could tell right off the start, it's just not happening. So I'm looking at it and thinking like, what's going on? This machine, when they advertise like the filament and stuff for it, they always advertise the Rapid PLA Plus. That's what I printed the T-Rex head in, with the same basic settings. And I guess it's tuned up. I mean, wise person said that when they make the filament, they engineer it, they test it on their machines. And so I went back to the Elegoo Rapid PLA Plus, loaded that in the machine, the white. And it's not like it's that much more expensive. It comes out to like $1 more per spool. So I'm gonna factor that into the cost or whatever. So I dialed the temperature back up, made a few other small adjustments, and I crunked the speed up, like tripled it. So it's like 250 millimeters per second. And because there's no infill, I think it should be okay, because it's just gonna be doing wall loops and wall loops. So I just restarted the machine. I'm gonna watch it. I think maybe after this, assuming it goes well, do another round of bed leveling, because when I would take the prints off the plate, sometimes, like some of the plates would lift up a little bit, and I'm like, it's kind of a pain. I'm thinking too, I think I remember seeing they made one giant build plate sheet for the Giga, so I'm gonna look into that too. That might be worth it, because taking these things off and having the plates come with it, it's kind of like, I don't know, and then it seems like it would smooth it out better, like, because I do often worry sometimes if there's these microscopic ridges between the plates. We're dealing with very tight tolerances here. Maybe it might be a good idea to look into. So hopefully by the time I shoot the regular first part of the video in a couple hours or so, there'll be at least a couple layers down to where I can kind of tell what's going on. So yeah, the Moai head did encounter another failure, and that's why I was kind of saying like maybe I should go back to using the Rapid PLA Plus, because it's tuned for this machine. When they sell it on the website, they sell spools for the Giga, which is Rapid PLA Plus. So that's what I'm doing. It looks like it's coming out pretty good, although it hasn't started the outer walls yet. So that will be kind of the real test. The other Cobras are quiet. I did some prints on another concept. And then also over here, a little disappointing because I just encountered this. And so this is the Angel character model. It kind of goes with the Devil Girl. And I got a notification on my Bamboo Handy that the tool cover, the fan cover, fell off. And when that happens, it's usually because the chute, the discharge chute, gets clogged full of stuff, and it backs up, and it causes the cover to just kind of fall off. And so I went and corrected it, and indeed it was full of stuff. So I cleared it out, restarted the print, but it looks like through that process, it did cause a layer shift on this plate of models. Now luckily, this wasn't set to take a whole lot. It wasn't too long of a print. But yeah, I did, right before I pressed record, I saw that happen. So not all is lost though, because I can extract some data from this. I can evaluate the support settings to see if we're like good to go to just reattempt it, make sure my box back there is all set up and good to go, because previously I put one of these chutes in, and unfortunately I just can't get the right amount of fall to make it happen. It's just too narrow. I don't know. So Cobra 3 down here, I've not really been running because I knew this would back up, because if I don't see it, I won't remember it. I've been pretty good about clearing it, but overall, disappointing, but I'm not crying over it. A1's quiet, all the Cobras are quiet, Soval's quiet. Soval print came out fine yesterday, so again, thanks to all the people who helped out with that. Let's go look at what else I'm working on. All right, so I am here in my mud room slash laundry room. And this is where we shower the dog. Well, if the dogs go outside and it's muddy, we rinse them off in here. Yes, our dogs have their own shower, and if you think that's ridiculous, wait until I tell you the dogs have their own kitchen. So we got a lot of dog infrastructure around here, and so when the dogs come in, we have to dry them off. But I just throw the towels up here because, unfortunately, rinsing off the dogs usually falls to me. And this is just unacceptable. So I printed some basic towel hooks off Thingiverse, and they left a lot to be desired. They rotated, and this was long ago. So I figured, I was looking around a few days ago, seeing what other people sell on Etsy, and it's all this simple stuff that I wouldn't even think of, or is already super saturated. And so I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's print a coat hook, a towel hook. Let's make it the simplest, most minimalist thing possible. See, there they are now. They're all upset I'm talking about them. Wish I could 3D print muzzles. Hey, maybe I could 3D print muzzles. Anyway, I had them up here on this here wall. And they were kind of marring up the wall, and I missed the first time, and I have these anchors in here. So I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's just make the simplest coat hook type model dealie. It's square. The infill's not huge. You know, it's got the screw holes that are all laid out for it. And I just went ahead and put one in. And, you know, it's pretty simple and minimalist. And I think what the experiment is gonna be me, well, taking one of these and putting them in a prettier part of my house to take pictures for Etsy, and then sell them in like a 4-pack for, I don't know, $15 or something like that. Not a price that's too high to make people jump, but also low enough to where people actually would consider it. And so I'm gonna pop this one in and hang something on it. I literally got the camera just sitting on the floor, so that's probably less than ideal, but again, super ultra simple model. And I would prefer to have my drill for this, but the drill is out in my building, and it's 25 degrees right now, and it's only like a 20-foot walk to get to the building. But I'm just a baby. I don't want to be cold. So we're just gonna yeet this, pop it in, take a screw. We're gonna do the eyeball level test and just kind of bang it, wiggle her out. Spin. Probably prefer a little more robust of a screwdriver too, but again, in the building. Let's get you up off the floor. Come on, man. What are you doing down on the floor? All right, here's the test. Dirty, disgusting towel blanket. So sick. All right, you ready? No look. A+. Oh damn, this is a big one. Ready for this? Ready for this one? Kobe. Write down in the comments below, how many times you think I had, how many takes did that take for me to nail that shot? And so again, these, just very ultra simple, very geometric. It's literally, I took all in Tinkercad. I know, I'm taking this like, look at this amazing thing that I made in Tinkercad. It's like the simplest thing. Watch it make a billion sales. It's literally a pyramid that I took and I squoze in, put it at a 45, and then dropped some screw holes in. I was thinking maybe I could go back through and like send along some plugs so you can't see it, but I'm like, you know what? Let's not overthink this. Let's just try to throw it on there and see if it works. Because again, I was looking at some other creators and kind of like hawking what they're selling. Like, you know, what are you making sales on? Because some of these people are saying like, yeah, I'm getting, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 orders a day. And then when I look at their Etsy's or I look at their content to see what they're selling, it's just the simplest stuff. And I mean, I don't know if they're running Etsy ads or if there's just something, the product photos are just highly appealing, but some of it's really, really simple stuff. And this is not to disparage the stuff that they're selling or saying that it's inferior or anything like that. It's just hyper simple and super saturated type products. And so I'm like, you know, maybe I'm looking at those things and considering those concepts and saying like, you know, well, too many people are already doing it. I don't want to, you know, mess around in that. But I said in this 3D print experiment that I want to try everything. I want to try all the different stuff. And so I've tried that in a few ways, but really nothing simple like this, you know, like a coat hanger or a towel hook or whatever. So gonna probably try to take a picture of those, put them up on the Etsy and see if it gets any bites, see if it gets any traffic. Another thing that I wanted to do is kind of not revisit the guns, but in a similar way to I did the T-Rex skull, is go ahead and pack one up just to like, so I have time to work on it instead of waiting for a sale to come through on it and then like scrambling to pack it up. I want to go ahead and work on packing it up in a more somewhat meticulous way to build and know in the future exactly how to do it. And I'm thinking, when I was looking at some other large models being packed, doing the box within a box method might be a good thing for some of these large gun models, because in the way I think about it, I'm thinking about a box being battered up in a truck. You know, if something hits the side of the box really hard, that'll compress down and maybe make it past the padding and hit the item. So if I put sort of just a small layer of bubble, like just a protective layer really around the model, and then put a box around it that was kind of maybe more form fit, and then that box goes inside a slightly larger box with some foam, then that would sort of greatly take down the amount of padding and packaging and add an additional layer of protection. So I do want to work on that today as well. Someone was mentioning in comments too, they'd like to see me do more of the regular mundane stuff, troubleshooting printers, reloading filament, stuff like that. So maybe working on some of that today. I'd still have to glue the wings here on our succubus model, so probably do a little something with that. Get the Angel restarted and monitor that Moai head, just to make sure that it's going to come out. And if it does show promise, I'll probably just pull the trigger. I already have an order coming from Elegoo for some of those big 3 or 5 kilogram spools of Rapid PLA Plus. But if that indeed does work out, then it's probably safe to say I need to transition my production back into Rapid PLA Plus, because I don't want a whole bunch of different filaments. Bamboo stuff for character models and whatnot, that's fine. But for like the workhorse type stuff, I'd rather just have one filament to rule them on, just so it's like easy and I don't have to think of like, okay, Soval gets this, Cobra gets that, Giga gets this. I'd rather just have one thing. So I'm gonna give those things a few hours to flesh out, see what happens, see what fails, and come back a few hours and talk about it then. So, was not expecting this today. Guess my outside activities are canceled. So just peeled the supports off these wings here and hit them with the torch. Cleaned up pretty good. I mean, you can still tell where there were supports, but you know, I don't like the heat gun, again, because the torch is a little more badass. So you just kind of hit it like so. Gives it a nice melty layer. Gets rid of all the white parts anyway. I don't think I need to do the front. I think these are pretty good. And so it's been a few hours, or at least enough has happened to kind of build out the rest of this video. So we got our character models restarted over here on the P1P. Everything looking good there. All the supports popped off real crispy clean, just like the other model. So I'm optimistic about that one. It was just kind of a fluke sort of thing. Got to kind of look forward to building some sort of solution for the discharge of that thing. Down here on Cobra number 4, we went to put together the rest of that Colt Python model, and I realized I never printed the grip section for it, so I went ahead and got that started on 4. Down here, it's a 0.28. It's got some organic support around the edge because I print it flat this time instead of going like high. And the real story is the Giga. So, started printing with the Elegoo Rapid PLA Plus, and it got up to this point, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good. Let's see if I can get a little further in. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good, so I touch it. It isn't. So it's doing the layer separation again, and again, kind of refreshing myself on what causes layer separation. People saying slow it down, slow down the print, heat it up. But previously, the print temperature was lower and the speed was lower, and then I put down the heat and kept the same speed, same issue. This is Rapid PLA Plus, so I upped the speed and upped the heat really high. This is still the 0.6 nozzle. So I'm not sure if it's that. I suspect it's the Z offset because when I start the print, I'm always adjusting it. And so what is necessitated, because I have some other things I want to do with the Giga. So what I've done is I've stopped the print, and what I'm going to do is because I've got some big spools on the way. I need to like set up for those because I want to use the big spools, the 3s and the 5 kilos. So I've got the spool holder up here. I pulled the sensor cables out to test the length because I want to relocate them. I don't want them back there because it's kind of a pain every kilo going like climbing back under here to like swap out 1 kilogram spools. So I'm going to put the kilos up here, and then what I want to do is I want to take this, and now I've looked at different options. Yes, I looked at Uncle Jesse's video where he runs like a length of PVC across. I really don't like that idea because as the spool, like as the spool turns, you know, little flecks of bullshit or whatever could fall off the spool. Pieces of whatnot, I don't know. I just don't like the idea of something hovering directly over the print that's affixed in a way that's maybe not as secure. And I'd say that when I tell you my solution, and you're like, that's the same thing. Anyway, I'm gonna take the stock spool and I'm gonna mount it here to this steel shelf. And so I'm gonna drill out a couple holes and run bolts, use some Loctite just to make sure it's in there super duper sturdy. And so the way I am proposing to orient it is like this. I'm gonna slip this little ledge in between the ply and the shelf itself, bolt it into place, and that will allow the spool up there to run through the pulley and then down here where the filament sensor will go, which is essentially directly above where the tool head is moving around. And so it won't have to go up and over or anything like that. My only real concern is that when it gets to the end of the spool, the tension pulling on it might cause the spool to, you know, sometimes they lift out. There's nothing holding it in. There's a chance maybe that cardboard spool could like fling out and fall down into here. I don't know. If it does, we'll correct for that. But that's kind of the best solution I could come up with. My other solution was to maybe put it on the floor and then run it up over the side, but that would require me drilling, tapping out some holes. Yeah, I guess I would, into here, or printing some kind of bracket to hold on to the pulley and the filament sensor. And I like mechanical fastening for something like that, because those really need to be hardcore in place and not allow for it to pull filament through it and then it pulls it all down and then it causes an issue. Additionally, the big thing is before any of that, well, concurrently with all that stuff, I'm gonna take the plate off and I'm gonna do another bed level. Because I did it once before. If you saw the video when I first got the Giga, I went through and did the bed meshing and then did the little twisty turny things over and over and over again. At the time, I didn't realize you could just probe each individual point on the plate and then twist it to get it close to 0. I thought you had to go through the whole thing and then just kind of say like, do the math in your head and twist it a little bit instead of probing it over and over again until you got it really, really close. So you can do that, and that's what I plan to do. So I'm gonna pull all this off, I'm gonna go back through, remesh, re-level, remesh, and once I have it to the point where it's like super ultra, all zeros, or at least within super duper close, at that point then I think I'll start the print again, redo the Z offset, because I suspect that Z offset is what's really causing this issue with layer adhesion and delamination with this particular filament. And by then, those big spools will be here, and then I can start doing my tests or my prints with those big spools, because that's another thing too. I don't want to be swapping back and forth on different types of filament. I really want to commit to one, because you know, if I tune up the machine to run it, I don't want to switch to something else. You know, I know you could say like there are differences in the batches, but I'd really like to stick to one for the Giga, because it's not like one of these other printers where it's kind of an easy swap out. You know, it's a bigger ship, so it takes longer to turn, so to speak. Now, I know you can always tune things, but I'd kind of like to just set up how it's gonna be and run it from there. All right, and insofar as the rest of the stuff that we got going on today, really just kind of cutting this where it is now, this vlog for today, because I do want to dedicate some time to doing all those things I said I was gonna do with the Giga, and you know, kind of taking, you know, little bits of clips here and there and rushing to put it out tomorrow. That's gonna be a bit stressful, because I do like having to, you know, that buffer time. So the day after, or well, tomorrow's episode, I guess, by then, we'll have hopefully it all tuned in, and we'll be beginning our next attempt at the giant
Moai head, or perhaps we might go straight into the T-Rex skull, because while it's not sort of an order, I will technically annote it as being an order because it's going out to one of my stores. And so I'll just, internally note that as a sale. You can take from that what you see. You want to call that cheating? Call it cheating. I don't care. I'm going to be working on that. Hopefully get the Devil Girl listed today. I should be able to get that listed today. Took all the photos, went through, pulled off all the support. So that's good to go. Angel Girl is due in about 18 hours, I think, was the time it would take for that print. So appreciate all the views. Be sure to enter the giveaway via the link in the description below, picking that on Sunday. Be sure to like the video because it's the nice thing to do, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm the Tentacles. See you next time.